This is what happens when you bind estrogen to the liver. Estrogen activates the liver to, number one, increase the production of a protein that is called angiotensinogen. Now remember, we said that this channel where blood pressure medication work, this channel is called the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. So this channel starts from the liver producing that protein called angiotensinogen. So that protein is produced only by stimulation from estrogen. Now, this means, you see that channel, when you have low blood pressure, the liver produces angiotensinogen and the kidney produces something called renin. That renin converts the angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. And then angiotensin 1 is converted to angiotensin 2. That angiotensin 2 is a potent vasoconstrictor. It constricts blood vessels. When you constrict blood vessels, blood pressure goes up. So you had low blood pressure, the liver gave you angiotensinogen. This angiotensinogen has to be converted to something that will cause vasoconstriction so that you increase blood pressure. And therefore, converting this angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1, we need the kidneys to give us renin. And then the renin converts angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. And then angiotensin 1 is converted to angiotensin 2. There is an enzyme there called angiotensin converting enzyme. This is for those people who want to understand the mode of action of these drugs. But anyway, remember this. We have low blood pressure. The liver has given us angiotensinogen. The kidneys has given us renin. And the end result is producing a potent vasoconstrictor. We constrict blood vessels and blood pressure goes up. Now, drugs for blood pressure block every stage on this RAS system so that they do not produce angiotensin 2, and therefore blood vessels do not constrict, they relax, they open up, and blood pressure goes down. Now, for you to release angiotensinogen from the liver, you need activation through estrogen. This is the reason why pregnant women suffer high blood pressure, because when they are pregnant, they are producing estrogen, and this estrogen is going to activate the liver, and the liver produces angiotensinogen, which will be converted to angiotensin 2, which constricts blood vessels, and therefore blood pressure goes up. So you can imagine if you are a pregnant woman with a fatty liver and you're obese, and you're blaming it on the baby, you're actually getting in problems. That's the reason why pregnant women should fast, they should eat healthy, they are not exceptions, they are not a weak generation or population. You are not special just because you're pregnant. It's a primary role for a woman to get pregnant and give children, raise children actually. So therefore it's not a special population. That point where you got it to become special, or for you pregnant women to become a special population, that's where you decided, or that's why you encourage the pharmaceutical companies to exploit you. And they exploit you through supplements, pregnancy supplements that are useless, that you can simply find in food. They exploit you through over generation, pregnancy maintenance, and all that. They exploit you through telling you should eat 5 meals a day and still snack in between because you're eating for 2. And they know as you do that, you add weight, they'll bring you surgeries after the pregnancy. They know if you add weight, you'll be unable to give birth naturally, so you'll end up having a CS, and that is money to the healthcare system. Therefore, be cautious, eat healthy, fast, enjoy the pregnancy. It will be no complications. But as you defend bad eating habits in pregnancy using the baby, you will keep suffering because there's a disease after a disease, and then we give you drugs, and there'll be drugs for side effects of drugs. And then you'll give birth and the blood pressure is not going anywhere. No pregnancy comes with hypertension. No child comes with hypertension or diabetes. It's a normal state. The body knows how to regulate that. But as you constantly raise estrogen levels through eating unhealthy foods, not fasting, and now the pregnancy is coming in, the pregnancy comes in to simply expose your bad lifestyle. If you ever get diabetes and hypertension in pregnancy, it is not the fault of the pregnancy. It is your fault because you're eating so much bad foods, but you don't know. That's why we exist, because we want to tell you that this is the wrong way of doing things. Good. So this is where medicine makes sense. So now you have estrogen coming in, and women who are actually taking hormonal contraceptives. This is how you start retaining water, and you start having those swollen feet, you start having hypertension, you start having obesity, because you're actually encouraging fat deposition. So one, we've actually told or instructed our liver to give us angiotensinogen, which will end up leading to high blood pressure later on. Okay, because you'll produce another hormone that is called aldosterone, and that will reabsorb water, that will reabsorb salts, and then now your blood volume goes up and your blood pressure goes up. And now they will start blaming it on salt. Instead of blaming it on high estrogen levels or high insulin levels, they start blaming it on salt. Therefore, salt has never been a problem in hypertension. Sugar and estrogen are a problem because, again, estrogen is stimulated by hyperinsulinemia. And estrogen and insulin are building hormones. Therefore, in the liver, they build fat. In the blood vessels, they build the blood vessel wall. The cell starts to hypertrophy, and then the blood vessel starts to narrow. And when they narrow, you blame it on cholesterol. But protect estrogen, but protect sugar because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Eat your brown bread. That's what they tell you, right? Amazing. So that is one. So you'll end up stimulating angiotensinogen, you end up having high blood pressure. Number two, you end up producing TBG, that is the thyroid binding globulin. Remember this. All hormones in the body, before they are transported, they have to be bound on a protein. So the thyroid hormones are bound on a thyroid binding globulin or protein. Now, any hormone that is bound on a protein is not active. So when you bind a hormone on these proteins, it is not active. What does that tell you? That tells you if you're producing the proteins that bind thyroid, it means you will have bound thyroid hormones in the system, but they're not active because they are bound. They have to be released to be free for them to act. And therefore you get into hypothyroidism. And now metabolism is going down. And now obesity is coming in. And as obesity is coming in, realize this. As you grow the fat, you actually activate the system that is called aromatization, or the process that is called aromatization. Aromatization is where the male hormones, because all women have the male hormones, the male hormone called testosterone is actively converted to estrogen. That enzyme that converts testosterone to estrogen is called aromatase. And when you build fat, fat activates this aromatase and you end up converting testosterone to estrogen. You end up raising your estrogen levels. You become problematic. Estrogen dominance is coming in. For the men, as you grow fat, you're actually activating conversion of your testosterone to estrogen. And guess what is going to happen? Femininity. You're going to grow man boobs. You're going to grow hips. You're going to have that buttock like that gentleman. And then you're going to be very effeminate. You're going to portray feminine energy. And as you portray feminine energy, women start avoiding you because you're actually acting like a woman. And then they tell you, be a man. And you start getting angry again because anger is estrogen. So instead of being angry because you've been told to be a man, why don't you just be one? Lose the weight, lose the fat. And then estrogen is a building hormone. So as you convert testosterone to estrogen, you end up getting an enlarged prostate. And they will lie to you that an enlarged prostate is high testosterone levels. Is a lie. Teenagers have the highest levels of testosterone. How is it possible that they are not running around with these things, with these enlarged prostates, these things that look... How is it possible that teenagers are not running around with enlarged prostates? They have the healthiest prostates, yet they have the highest amount of testosterone. It is estrogen, because if you talk about estrogen, you're actually collapsing the industry for that gentleman who is bringing us aid. You're collapsing the industry, the pharmaceutical industries that are bringing us hormonal contraceptives. So estrogen and high insulin and IGF-1 are the ones that are responsible for enlarged prostate. Lower them, you shrink the prostate. And now you see, as men get to 30, they reduce their testosterone levels by 1% every year. And nowadays it's even being faster because they're actually taking in so much estrogen through eating unhealthy foods, through drinking water that has contraceptives. Because women take these contraceptives and they urinate and it goes into water and you get into the taps and you drink it. Now you wonder why men are going to see a gentleman squatting with a whole buttock and they're enjoying it, they're singing along and squatting along. I'm like, ah, hey. And now you see in the gym, there are these guys who wear sweatpants in the gym. They are sweating. Yeah. And they are showing you their buttocks and this is so irritating in the gyms nowadays. You see effeminate men, and I think gyms are becoming homes for effeminate men and these people of the umbrella. of the rainbow. They're just waiting to pounce on your sons as they get into that gym. Because gyms are full of effeminate men. They wear shorts or sweatpants and then they show you their buttocks as they are squatting, you're seeing their buttocks. You're wondering what is wrong with this gentleman. Where is shame? Anyway, so TBH brings you into hypothyroidism, you start having all these metabolic issues, you gain weight. So you can imagine that in pregnancy, another disaster. Number 3, the stress hormone called cortisol. Of course, it binds to another protein, okay? And it's called transcortin. Trans for transport and then cortin for cortisol. So transcortin is a protein that binds cortisol and transports it in the blood. But remember, when cortisol is bound, it is not active. Until it is released, that's when it becomes active. Therefore, your stress level starts to increase because you don't have cortisol levels. Therefore, your arthritis starts getting worse because you don't have cortisol going there to heal. So you are unable to handle stress, you are unable to handle autoimmune conditions, and they start coming in handy. And it doesn't get better because your cortisol levels are becoming problematic. Now you see the link between estrogen and all these issues. And all these proteins are being produced by the liver because estrogen just activates the liver to produce them. And then now they bind every hormone in the system. And when they bind it, it's not available for function. Problems. Another one is transferrin. Transferrin is an ion or a protein that actually transports iron in blood. It's a protein that carries iron in blood. Those people who have anemia, this is a protein that actually transports iron in blood so that you can actually have all this function of the iron in the blood. But when you bind the iron, again, it's not available for action. Therefore, anemia is coming in. So some of you are suffering from anemia, not because you have a messed up gut, not because you're not eating healthy food, but because you have a contraceptive method. But because you have high estrogen levels, because you have a pot belly. Lose the fat and see how anemia disappears. Most importantly, estrogen increases hepatic adenomas. These are tumors. So estrogen increases the chances of you getting tumors of cancer in the liver. But most importantly, or most annoyingly, it also increases the chances of these adenomas rupturing. Not only are you increasing the chances of me getting the tumors, you're actually encouraging these tumors to burst. Therefore, hepatic cancers are here because of high estrogen levels. And then somebody's telling you, oh, genetics. Where is the genetics when I have a hormonal contraceptive here? You're the same person who is telling me about genetics because you want to protect yourself. You want to run away from the truth that you actually gave me a hormonal contraceptives. And gynas, my gyna, we are on your neck. It doesn't matter your level of education, my gyna. Anatomy is the same. Anatomy is the same. It doesn't matter. So you, my gyna, and you ladies, every time, oh, you know, my gyna told me, my gyna. I'm like, your gyna? Your gyna. Have you ever heard men going to a gyna? Do you know I have swollen this? Where? By the time a man goes to a gyna, imemfikisha kwa corner. He's pressed in a corner. Now he has no option. So all these issues are coming from estrogen. And then, so we are giving you the tumors. And then we're giving you the tumors. And then these tumors are actually rupturing now because we are also increasing estrogen levels. And then when I say hormonal contraceptives are criminal, you guys come after me. Oh, what should we use now? What should we use? We've talked about using every single thing to protect yourself from getting pregnant, including semen retention. But you still fall prey of the gullible of the system that is actually preying on you, just waiting for one day to just grab you by the balls. Anyway, another one on the liver, estrogen activates or increases the hormone that produces cholesterol. That hormone is called HMG-CoA. Now, whether you eat eggs or you don't eat eggs, whether you use saturated fats or you don't, whether you eat fish, whether you use ghee, tallow, coconut oil or you don't, your liver will still make cholesterol. That liver makes cholesterol, a lot of cholesterol. Actually, 60 to 85% of your daily requirement of cholesterol is made by the liver. Those of you who have sat in a biochemistry class, they know there's something called the de novo synthesis. De novo means you synthesize something from zero, synthesize cholesterol from zero, without even needing your eggs. So whatever you're getting in diet is just 15%. So stop blaming dietary fats for, oh, you know, it will give me cholesterol. Oh, you know, cholesterol. No, you are misinformed. So dietary cholesterol is 15%. The liver makes 85% of your daily requirement of cholesterol. I know you did not know that. Now you do. So stop blaming cholesterol because the liver cannot make something that will kill you. Now, open your head. In the liver, we have an enzyme called HMG-CoA. HMG-CoA is an enzyme that actually facilitates the making of cholesterol in the liver. This is the enzyme that statins block. When they block it, you have low cholesterol, you have erectile dysfunction. This enzyme HMG-CoA reductase. Now, when you increase HMG-CoA, now you're producing so much cholesterol in the system, and then what happens? This cholesterol ends up getting crystallized because of the same estrogen. So you crystallize it. And guess what? A lot of cholesterol is in the bile juice. So that bile juice has cholesterol. Okay? So for you to form bile juice, to help you digest fats in the intestines, you actually need cholesterol. And now you're making a lot of cholesterol and it crystallizes. And the liver is unable to break it down because you have to concentrate it for it to just melt down. And now you're forming these gallstones. Crystallized cholesterol. These are gallstones. They're actually yellow in color. They're actually called yellow gallstones. You crystallize cholesterol because of high estrogen levels and because of high HMG-CoA reductase. And then these crystals precipitate and stay in the gallbladder and they start blocking the gallbladder, the ducts. They block the gallbladder duct, they block the cystic duct, they go and block the bile duct, they go and block the pancreatic duct. And now as they block that, they start causing you pancreatitis. They start causing you cystitis, not cystitis, cholestasis, the inflamed gallbladder. And now infections come in. And now you go to a doctor and they chop off the gallbladder. They've chopped off the gallbladder, but you still have that that contraceptive, right? Yeah, I mean, you can lose the gallbladder, but you have to protect yourself from getting pregnant, right? Eh? Again, men, as you grow fat, you increase estrogen levels, you crystallize the cholesterol, you get the gallbladder stones, and then you have now gallbladder stones and all these infections of the gallbladder. Now look at it this way. You see very well that some of these conditions, you can easily bring them down by just bringing down estrogen. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? So men, why don't you lose that fat? Why don't you lose that pot belly? Don't allow them to call you chairman. You're not chairman. You know very well you're not chairman. You're on the brink of being broke because if you get that gallbladder stone, that surgery, that procedure to just clear those stones is expensive. If you get that adenoma, hepatic adenoma, and they're rupturing, that surgery is expensive. You cannot afford it. So if I see a man with a pot belly and they are feeling comfortable about it, I am seeing a super broke man. It's only a matter of time. And you know very well how health can drain your pocket so fast. You know very well. You know very well how cancer can actually drain you so badly. And the problem is, it is always fun and games. You've seen that guy who shakes his belly every time, right? Because of TikTok, because of endorsements. And now he's attracting a lot of masses. And Kenyans are just weird. You follow him and you encourage him to keep on checking his tummy. And as he does that, you will be there in his WhatsApp groups. You will send 200 shillings, you will send 500 shillings, 5,000 and all that for him to go to India to do a liver surgery or to do a cancer surgery or to do chemo. You've seen these things. Why don't we just change? Why don't we just be honest with ourselves and start living a healthy life? It is not expensive to lead a healthy life. Trust me, it's not. Imagine 2 meals a day. No snacking in between. Fasting during weekends. Rehydrating with salt and water. How expensive is that? But you want to eat 5 meals a day and still tell people healthy eating is expensive. Wait until you're hit by one disease, one chronic condition, just one. You will know it's not expensive. You will know it's not expensive. Wait until you walk into that chemist with a list of drugs, a prescription that is full of drugs. You're hoping that maybe this is just 1,000 or 2,000 shillings. And then you go there, and then this guy counts. This guy tells you, oh, this one, 28,000. And it's not like you're going to use these drugs and that's it. No, this is 28,000 for this month. So therefore, there's another 28,000 next month. Some of these drug combinations are very expensive. There are people who are actually earning a salary to simply take it to a pharmacy. How many people in Kenya are earning 28,000 a month? So imagine you taking 28,000 to a pharmacy to just buy drugs. And it's not the last time you're buying it. Next month, you have to find 28,000 and come back. Do you know, if you start eating healthy, there's no single month you will spend 15,000 on food. Nyama, mayai, kuku, samaki, sweet potatoes, green bananas, butternuts, arrowroots, beans, ghee, butter, tallow, coconut oil. There is no single day that you'll spend money worth 28,000 on healthy foods. It's not true. A month? No way. How many of you now, you can walk into a supermarket with a trolley, you're looking at the shelves, you're seeing nothing. You can't take anything. There's nothing. How many of us do that? How many? I go into a supermarket, I'm only seeing ghee, and now they hide the ghee, so I'm not even seeing anything. So I'm just seeing ghee, maybe water and salt and toiletries. How many of us, do you really have to wait until you get hit by this condition so that we can now start finding a doctor, finding us now? And at that moment in time, you're so desperate, and now when you're desperate, I can easily exploit you. Oh, I'll sell you the fear. Oh, this is cancer. Oh, you know cancer. Into the chemo. This one is just chemo. Nothing more. Chemo. Just go. No. You go see an oncologist. And the oncologist is actually afraid of even mixing cancer therapy. He's afraid of mixing that chemo. Because he knows this chemo is going to cause him cancer if he gets in contact with this skin. But he's there telling you, oh, you know. Well. They know. Oncology pharmacists, senior oncologists, the consultants, they know that chemo is causing you cancer. Chemo is causing you bone marrow suppression. Anemia is coming in. Problems are coming in. Low immunity. They know chemo lowers your immunity. Therefore, risk of infections. They know even after that chemo, there's no assurance that you're going to get better. That's why they never tell you that you're going to do chemo and you'll get better. They never tell you that. They never tell you that. Do they? Those of you who have suffered this condition, some of you are so arrogant, you cannot take it because you've not yet gotten there. Wait until one of your close parents or close person gets there. Wait until you yourself are there. You will know. Dr. Lewis was saying, let me drop hormonal contraceptives. I might not be here for long, but you'll remember my words. Hormonal contraceptives, GMO foods, glyphosates that are coming with GMO foods, sugars, skin products, commercial toothpastes, non-sticky pans, the Teflons are all in our kitchens and we are seeing it as a fancy thing. Anyway, let's talk about the last one. The last one is, of course, aromatization. So we said, one, estrogen promotes the liver to produce angiotensinogen, therefore you end up having hypertension. We have thyroid binding globulin, you end up binding thyroid, you go into hypothyroidism, add weight and low metabolism. We've talked about transferrin, which binds iron, therefore anemia is coming in. We've talked about the cortisol, the transcortin, binding cortisol, therefore stress levels are going up, problems. We talk about HMG-CoA reductase, an enzyme that is actually involved in de novo synthesis of cholesterol and also crystallization of cholesterol, therefore gallstones, problems. We've talked about now aromatization of testosterone to estrogen. So the fatter you grow, or even those people who are thin, there's this group of people who are thin and they want to eat everything. And the reason why they want to eat everything is because, nata misi noni, misi nonangi. I never grow fat. You see, I can eat everything and I'll be okay. Those people, you know of that lady who eats everything and keeps telling you how fit she is and she's complaining of endometriosis, painful menstruation all the time? You know that lady who has severe acne and she eats everything? You know that man who is complaining of erectile dysfunction, always buying sildenafil, the Viagra? And he's busy telling you in the office how he's a beast in bed. He's telling you how dawa ya balloon ni shindano. You know that guy? You know that guy who chapati cannot pass him. He's there picking everything, eating everything, can never fast because he says, if I'm thin already, if I fast, I'll be bony. You know that guy? These are the guys who have a fatty liver. They call them toffees. Yes, they have a fatty liver. And this fatty liver is actually number one in aromatization. So it changes testosterone to estrogen. And now men are coming with man boobs. You see a man with man boobs, you're wondering, what is wrong with this gentleman? You see a man with hips and a buttock. You see a man walking with their hands hanging at, you're like, bro, what is happening with you? A man who doesn't have a handshake that is enough to just make sure that he's actually bringing boundaries. Man is so effeminate, shakes your hands with fingers. You're like, what is wrong with you? Men nowadays are painting their nails. They're applying, they tell you, oh, there's no problem with me doing manicure and pedicure, and they are painting their nails with, I don't know, is it called Q-Tex or what? This clear thing. Man always in company of women. Gossiping. This is the guy who does not miss on gossip. Ay. Ah. We, acha tumalize.